Well, it was another eventful week here in the world and here on Dylan Knows, episode 510, Barbenheimer. Yes, we finally have reached Barbenheimer weekend. It's been a while, but we finally have gotten here, and it did not disappoint. Reviews of both movies and box office totals potentially will be revealed here in a few minutes. Also, San Diego Comic-Con was this week. Wasn't quite as big as expected because of all the people opting out, but there's some big news on it. A lot of comic book news, which I'm going to introduce through here, or not introduce, but to reveal through here on the show. Some interesting local news happened here this week as well. Excuse me. And we're looking forward. I'm not looking forward to, but summer's deciding that it's going to bitch slap us this week coming up. It's going to be 85 today, 85 tomorrow, 83 Monday, 87 Tuesday, 91 Wednesday, 92 Thursday, 96 Friday, 95 Saturday, 86 Sunday, 84 Monday, 80 Tuesday. So it's going to get cooler by the end of middle of next week. But we're going to get some hot weather coming in starting around Wednesday in the 90s. So, so it's been another eventful week here. Dylan Knows. Here we are. So, shall we get started? Yes, we shall. I did participate in Barbenheimer like I was hoping to, so I got to see both Oppenheimer and Barbie on the same day, back to back. One was a 10:30 a.m. showing of Oppenheimer in IMAX, and then a 2 o'clock showing in for Barbie, in regular theater for Barbie. And watched both of them. Both were just as I expected for the most part. Oppenheimer was extraordinarily loud due to the IMAX sound system, and I missed some of the dialogue and was confused a little bit with some of the different characters. But all in all, it was in general a really good movie. I'm not saying it is, as some people are saying, the most important movie of ever, or the most important movie of the century, or whatever. It's a biopic about the guy who created the bomb. It's an entertaining movie, but I'm not saying it's life-changing. It's not holy shit, no, filmmaking has been changed forever. No, it's a film, and it's, Nolan owes a lot to JFK and Oliver Stone and all the stuff that he did with some of his editing. But great performances by all the actors involved. I highly expect Oppenheimer to get numerous Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, definitely for Cillian Murphy. Also, Best Supporting Actor probably for Robert Downey Jr. People are saying that Best Supporting Actress for Emily Blunt, who was okay, but I found her character to be not around as much, and when she was, it was just not really. She was really good in a couple sequences, but a lot of times she's just complaining about raising children, and kind of barely in the movie, in my estimation. The character is an interesting one, but I don't think Emily Blunt got enough space to let her character flow a little bit more, because honestly, it wasn't about her. It was about Oppenheimer. Florence Pugh was wonderful in it as well, and got to see her boobs multiple times. She's main reason for her character is sex appeal. A couple of sex scenes with her and nudity with her, but it's a part that was needed for the story of Oppenheimer. Matt Damon's character was fairly good. Didn't know Josh Hartnett was in this, and he did good. It was a welcome return for Josh Hartnett, who hasn't really done anything for a long time, since the early part of the century. I said Robert Downey Jr. was okay. The Gary Oldman was unrecognizable as Harry Truman. Did not even know it was him until I saw the credits, and I had to even look it up on Wikipedia to see who he played. And then just a bunch of, good character actors filling out the roles. Kenneth Branagh was really good as Niles Bohr. And I picked him out right away, but then it took me a few minutes to make sure that it was actually him that really was Kenneth Branagh, and it was, so that's good. So in general, it's a good biopic, very well directed, very well done, very well performed, but all the screaming and yelling about it being the most important movie of the century and just being just the greatest movie ever is a little much for me. I don't think it is. I don't feel that way about it. One cool thing about that, there was a guy who was cosplaying as Oppenheimer in the movie. I'm not making a joke. When I was in the movie theater, he was wearing the same suit and sort of hat that Oppenheimer wears in the movie. So that was kind of interesting. So 3 hours, it didn't seem to drag too much. As I said, it was hard to hear some of the sound because of the IMAX stuff. And IMAX also really, really shows out your pores and wrinkles and stuff like that. So you got to see a lot of that when you saw a lot of the close-ups of the characters. But again, very well directed by Chris Nolan. As I said, didn't hate it. I really enjoyed it a lot. I think a lot of people are overstating how great it is. And I think you need to just chill yourself a little bit because it's a good movie, but I'm not saying it's a life-changing one. It's entertaining. Barbie was pretty much as I expected. Maybe that's not quite true because I was not expecting the twist where, let's just go back and say, starts off a little slow with the whole jokes about everybody named Barbie and Ken and stuff like that, and seeing how everything is great and stuff like that. And then Barbie getting into a little bit of what's the proper term I'm looking for? She's starting to doubt things about herself or whatever, and she goes to Weird Barbie, played by Katie McKinnon from Saturday Night Live, who was really, really good as Weird Barbie, and told her she had to go to the real world to find her person who was playing with her, whose feelings were being imbibed into her. So she goes in there, and Ryan Gosling's Ken hops along for the ride because that's his only reason for being, is to be a accessory for Barbie. And so they get to the real world and discover that the real world is not quite what Barbie was expecting. She was expecting the fact that she thought that a girl Barbie and having girl Barbies that could do anything, scientist, Supreme Court, president, whatever, would change the world. In the end, they could enter the world that we're in now, where it's a male-oriented sort of world, and that sort of attracts Ken, and he does some research on it and discovers that the male-oriented world might be better, the patriarchy, so he leaves Barbie in the real world to go back to Barbie Land and bring about patriarchy to Barbie Land. Meanwhile, Barbie's existential crisis, that's what Barbie discovers who the girl is who's been playing with her, and it was actually a older woman who played with her when she was younger, and who played with Barbie with her daughter. Her daughter now is a middle schooler, and she thinks she knows everything, and she hates her mom and hates Barbie's calling her a fascist and stuff like that. And so they Barbie convinced them to go back to Barbie Land to see how great the world is and how it could be. Brings the America Ferrera and her daughter to the real world, or rather from the real world to Barbie Land. And they get there and discovers that Ken's patriarchy has taken over, and all the Barbies are now subservient females, and all the Kens are now, as you expect here, asshole males drinking beer and all kinds of stuff. So Barbie has to try to figure out how to save the day, but she loses herself, and so it's up to America Ferrera and her daughter to try to figure out how to bring back Barbie Land. Meanwhile, Will Ferrell, the head of Mattel, discovers that Barbie has made it to the real world and needs her to be brought back to Barbie Land. But then she discovers that there's real life people going to Barbie Land, so she needs to get them out of there. So he and his Mattel crew go and try to bring everything back to order there. So that's basically kind of the premise of it. It is a feminist tale. It is a very not quite sure what expecting in a Barbie movie. a look at the world as it is now through the lens of feminism and male patriarchy. And Ryan Gosling is outstanding as Ken. His musical number at the end of the movie is fabulous, and just think about that as a potential that his song Just Ken and Peaches from Super Mario Brothers could be 2 of the 5 nominees for Best Original Song at the Oscars. It makes me extraordinarily happy. And I believe it's getting closer to be that way because, as I'll talk about a little later, due to the writers and strike and Screen Actors Guild strike, lots of movies are being pushed out of the 2023 zone, including a bunch of potential Oscar films that could have made the 2023's Oscar race a little bit more skewed towards them, but now they're being pushed to 2024, so they would not be available until the 2024 Oscars. So we'll see what happens about that. But all in all, it was just entertaining as just as good. It's a fast, breezy, real quick. Rhea Perlman actually is fantastic in her supporting role as the creator of Barbie. She's really, really good in the movie. I think of everything, she was the biggest surprise of the movie is how good Rhea Perlman was in the film. And Will Ferrell is still kind of playing kind of himself, but there's an aspect that's a little bit different than what he usually plays in there. Margot Robbie, of course, is absolutely wonderful. And Ryan Gosling, who I usually can't stand in movies, was actually fairly entertaining in this film. And I thought he did a wonderful job as Ken. And I'm hoping that this one also gets some Oscar noms, including a direction for Greta Gerwig, Best Picture, Best Actor for Ken, Best Actress for Margot Robbie, maybe a Supporting Actress for Rhea Perlman because she is really good, or America Ferrera, who's really outstanding movie as well, set design, stuff like that. So I think we've got some 2 potential Oscar things coming on here, and the fact that the 2 film productions were cheering each other on and telling people that this really isn't a competition, that, as Matt Damon said, you can watch more than one movie in a weekend. And a lot of people did because the numbers are out. These are the potential numbers, the projected numbers due to the amount of tickets that were pre-sold for today. We'll see. I would probably see these numbers going up a little bit with walk-in traffic, which also adds more of a thing that you don't actually see. These numbers are due to what has come before Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and was projected for today. So, as I said, depending on pre-sales. So, as I said, these numbers could go up or maybe slightly go down a little bit, but I doubt it. For the most part, they have a good formula down, so they pretty much got this predicted out here. So Barbie is set to make $155 million opening weekend, which will make it the highest grossing movie weekend this year, beating Super Mario Brothers. And Oppenheimer, which overperformed as well, is expecting to do $80.5 million this weekend as well. So combined, we're looking at a total of, let me see, 5, 3, close to $235 million between the 2 of them. And that's really, really good. That's just domestic. And when taking a look at what's happening outside in the world view, they're thinking another 300 million could be added to it, to the 235 that we got combined here, which could create a massive, huge hit for both films. And again, we'll probably get a lot more down the line for Oscar noms, and we'll have to see if they have legs. I would assume that they'll lose some of their audience, but I think there's not much really else coming out this summer that is got a lot of people hugely excited for movies. So we'll see how the drop-off goes. I am expecting the drop-off not to be quite too bad, just due to the fact that there is nothing really that I can think of over the next 5-6 weeks that of remaining in the summer box office window that is going to really knock these down a peg. Now, people, because everybody went this weekend, that might drop just to the fact that not as many people are going to go. But, we'll see what happens. I would assume probably Oppenheimer is probably going to be the one that's going to see the biggest drop for a 3-hour biopic about a guy who created the A-bomb. I don't see a huge falling for, whereas I think Barbie should only drop slightly. But regardless, both are probably certified hits. Both have pretty much saved the box office after some weak movies came out. And there's also other films, other proof that, longevity is there for certain films. And I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, so that's it. So that was my Barbenheimer experience. At the Barbie film, there wasn't really anybody dressed up in cosplay there, but there was a group of like a day camp of young little black girls. I should say African-American girls, proper term for it, who were very good at the movie theater, did not talk, did not make a lot of noise. We're watching the movie and enjoyed it a lot. And I was impressed by that. And they had their chaperones were in the row that I was in, and the girls were in the row in front of me. But the theater was set up, I didn't really see them. There's a little wall here, and then they're down here, so I could barely see them. And then there was a woman next to me who was boisterously laughing at the movie Barbie, not a annoying boisterous laugh, just a real good hearty laugh. She was like enjoying herself, so that helped make it pretty good as well. And my daughter and a friend of hers went to see the film Saturday, and they enjoyed it as well. So that was good for them. So there we go. There's my Barbenheimer story, and good numbers for Barbie and Oppenheimer. So we're looking good for that. So a big success, I should say. And now we've got really nothing to look forward to, because there really is nothing coming that I can foresee as a major film in the next 5, even more than that. I don't really see any major huge movies till maybe The Creator. September 29th might be the next big event sort of film. So we'll see where that goes. That's what they're positioning it for. So we'll see. So that's that. Tony Bennett passed away this week. The famous crooner who's been around forever. Always reminds me of the line from The Freshman that Marlon Brando says to Matthew Broderick. And Matthew Broderick was like, is that a picture of Mussolini on the wall? And Marlon Brando was like, it ain't Tony Bennett. And they laughed. So it was kind of a joke. But yeah, Tony Bennett, the crooner, has passed away this week. He was old. He's like in his 90s, I think. So it's sad, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, kind of expected, The Washington Commanders football team, which has gone into a tailspin since Daniel Snyder took over as owner of the football team, is having a rebirth now. It is officially, and the NFL has officially approved the sale of $6 billion of the Washington Commanders to a team headed by Magic Johnson and this guy who owns a couple of Philadelphia teams. And I found out the guy who is like the main investor in this is from the Washington area. So that's why he was really for it. So the fact that he's been, a successful owner in other groups and has Magic Johnson in there as part of it as well, shows that Washington is probably going to be in good hands for a little while. So it is official. Daniel Snyder era is officially over, and Washington fans can rejoice and move on. That also means more than likely you're going to see another name change because Commanders just wasn't quite the right one. You're probably not going to go back to see Redskins because that's still considered racially insensitive, but there might be a better shot at some of the more well-liked names that were thrown about out there before they got the Commanders. So we'll see how that all plays out. Speaking of football, training camp for football starts next week officially for all the NFL teams. A lot of teams actually had rookies this past week come early. The Baltimore Ravens were one of those. So rookies came on Wednesday. to start their training camp a week before the veterans came. But in Baltimore land, Lamar Jackson, our franchise quarterback now, he signed to his big deal in the offseason. He surprised everybody by showing up early for training camp. He did not have to be here till next week. He showed up like on Thursday or Friday to start working with his new blood, his rookies, and also to start really getting this new offensive scheme that we have working on nailed down before his teammates arrive. So we'll see. Some bad news on the Ravens end is J.K. Dobbins, who was set to have a big year, is now set to not, because he has been put on the physically unable to practice or play or whatever list, which means he can play. He might be able to come eventually, but he will not be working during preseason and stuff like that. He's got a soft tissue issue with his knees, so they've got to really keep an eye on that, and he might not actually make it till October of the season. So we'll see how that all plays out. So good on that. San Diego Comic-Con was also this week, so instead of just putting everything together into one big section and just reading everything like that, I'm just going to list everything, and I wrote San Diego Comic-Con next to my notes over here so I can let you know this was something that was introduced at the San Diego Comic-Con. Again, kind of a more quiet-esque, a lot more comic book related stuff was released. There's some other stuff in there as well. The Daryl Dixon official trailer came out. It's actually looks like an intriguing show that actually might draw me back in. It's a little bit different than your typical Walking Dead. You've got Daryl Dixon somehow arriving in France and ending up in a nunnery where he has been proclaimed as the one to take the chosen one somewhere. It's a young girl, so it becomes one of these things like The Last of Us, where a older guy takes a young girl and has to transport her to a certain location, but has to go up against the zombies and other groups that are trying to catch her for whatever reason. And so that's just basically what it looks like. One of the coolest shots is the Eiffel Tower is like slashed in half, and the zombies are all milling on top of the one part of the Eiffel Tower. So that could be interesting. So we'll see. It looks intriguing, and it's already gotten enough buzz that AMC thinks it's going to do well anyway, that they've already renewed it for a second season. So you're going to get at least 2 seasons of Daryl Dixon. The first season does not start until September. So we'll find out for sure how the ratings are for that. But right now, AMC has high hopes for it, and it has renewed it for a second season. That was announced at San Diego Comic-Con, and a trailer was released at San Diego Comic-Con as well. The Marvels trailer, the new full-length trailer for the Captain Marvel sequel coming out in November, was released this week as well, showing more of the action stuff. It looks good with you get to see a lot more of the action between Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel, and Photon, I guess, is going to be the character's name, and just sort of idea of what the story's about and who they're going up against and stuff like that. It looks like it's going to be another good one for Marvel, despite what everybody is screaming and yelling about. They could just go to hell because they just hate the idea of Marvel being successful and DC being trash, and Disney being shitty as well. So we'll see, but it looks good to me, and I'll be there probably opening day. I'll probably be taking that day off and going to see that opening day as well. So to be continued. But yeah, the new trailer's out there now. So if you have not seen it yet, it's available on YouTube or any other place you can find it in your search engine. Comic related stuff. DC Comics has announced Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong comic book, which sounds really awesome. And it's coming out in October. So a lot of stuff is coming out in October, which means that they either were keeping it under wraps, but the previews is coming out at the beginning of August for stuff that's coming out in October. So we probably should have known this, but oh well, that's all right. But that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. The Invincible Season 2 animated series on Prime is finally here. The first teaser was revealed. I think the show has a August debut on Prime. So it's been a long time since the first season. So that was a big deal with San Diego Comic-Con. Brand new Punisher has been teased, but now we finally know who it is. A former SHIELD agent by the name of Joe Garrison. So we'll see how this Punisher is similar to other Punishers. Again, these are all San Diego stuff that was mentioned at San Diego Comic-Con. Timeless, the new Timeless comic has been announced. It's the last two heroes remaining in the Marvel Universe is Immortal Moon Knight and Old Man Luke Cage are going to be in this Timeless comic. This was announced in San Diego Comic-Con, so that's interesting. The Last Ronin 2, the sequel to the hugely popular Dark Knight Returns saga of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, is getting a sequel coming out soon. That was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. Dan Jurgens announces his 30th anniversary of the Return of Superman storyline. Remember, in 1992, Superman died, and they did the 30th anniversary of Superman's death last year. In 1993, the Return of Superman brought Superman back, but also revealed 4 new Supermen introduced into the DC universe. Dan Jurgens, one of the guys that headed that. So a comic that's going to be the 30th anniversary of the Return of Superman is due out probably in time for the anniversary will be sometime in November, probably. So that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con as well. Ryan Reynolds will be co-producing the Biker Mice from Mars TV series. That was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con this week. Giant Robot Hellboy, which looks absolutely outstanding, was also announced at Hellboy this week, or announced at San Diego Comic-Con this week. That looks outstanding too, so I can't wait to see that. Holy Roller, Andy Samberg and Joe Troman are going to be the creative team on the new Image series. It's that Andy Samberg, yes. The Image series about a superhero who bashes Nazis in the face with bowling ball. So Andy Samberg will be writing a comic book for Image called Holy Roller. So that could be an interesting one as well. It might get me back into the comic shop as well for that. That's San Diego Comic-Con too. Announcement. Just looking for San Diego Comic-Con stuff. Adventure Time, Fiona and Cake, I guess. Trailer was released. The new comic will be out August 31st. Or the new cartoon, I should say, be out August 31st. That was not San Diego Comic-Con as well. The new One Piece trailer for the live-action version on Netflix released a new full-length trailer for it. San Diego Comic-Con, again, continues to look entertaining and looks good. Get to see a little bit more of what the story is going to be about. Dr. Doom will be getting his own X-Men team. That was announced at San Diego Comic-Con this week as well. And I can't read my handwriting here. That's a trailer. Oh, that's the I can't read that right, so I'll just chart it up. But yeah, another trailer for a movie coming out in 9/22. I think it's that one I just talked about that I forget the name of now because I'm just kind of half asleep here and there. So we'll see what happens. Andor 2 has stopped filming due to the SAG and the Writers Guild strike. That it had gone a little further, but it had gone a little further, but then after the strike happened, but then they just finally could not do anything else. So there's that. Zendaya's threesome movie Challengers has been moved to April 2024. So that's gone out of September into next year. The Gran Turismo trailer based on the video game and based on a true story about kids who played the Gran Turismo video game were selected to race in an actual race that the Gran Turismo video game is based on. The movie has David Harbour and Orlando Bloom in it. New trailer for that came out this week. It was actually a part of, I think I saw it, part of the Barbie trailers I saw. Dune 2, Aquaman 2, and The Color Purple may all be moved to 2024. That's what I was talking about earlier about potential Oscar nominees such as Color Purple and Dune 2 being pushed to 2024. So if it does indeed get them pushed to 2024, those movies will not be able to participate in the Oscars. So that paves the way now more for our Barbenheimer takeover of the Oscars. But we'll see what happens. Right now, it's WB is toying with the idea. We'll see what happens. Aquaman 2, I would not be surprised, because there was a lot of information this week about Aquaman 2, about how the production is absolutely awful right now. They've had to reshoot it 3 times. They just can't find the right feeling for it, and it's just not working for them. So would not surprise me if they knocked that to 2024. Dune 2 and Color Purple were 2 of their major slates for the Oscars, and they should be mostly done. And I don't know why they feel the need to move the stuff, because I think the movies are pretty much all done. So I don't think the actors nor the writers have anything else to do with it. It's more about the directors and the crew about that, and there's no strike with them. So not sure what that's all about, but we'll see what happens. Pixar's Elemental. Been talking about this for a while. When it first, came out back in June, it came out against that god-awful WB Flash movie. Everybody was talking about how, Disney's dying, it's underperforming, its Pixar movies are dead, Pixar is dead, everything's terrible, and this Elemental movie is just the worst opening ever for a Pixar movie, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what, you schadenfreude dicks? Pixar's Elemental surpasses The Flash at the box office and has hit $300 million worldwide, which is not a failure. It's very good for an animated film. Yes, it's not old Pixar numbers with Toy Story and all that, but the fact that they have not released very many movies over the last few years due to COVID, and then this one comes out and opened badly, and everybody was screaming about how Disney's over, and then all of a sudden Elemental's just there, and it doesn't have a major drop. It keeps building and building and building and building, and guess what? It's over $170 million on domestic, which is more than your damn Flash movie made. You sons of bitches, assholes. I can do some schadenfreude too, you dicks. But yeah, so Pixar's Elemental is the movie that could. It's still racking up money. I still expect it to do really well, and good for them. I'm really happy for them. Ash's Farewell and the final Pokemon Journeys set is due September 8th. They just released his battles that made him the Pokemon champion June 23rd or 24th, something like that. So now the last bit of it, which is Ash goes back to revisit all the sites he's gone to before, meets all of his friends and stuff like that, and just sort of a reunion tour sort of thing, is due out September 8th. And then once that lands, that's going to be it for Pokemon Journeys. So that's what it was, the Continental. That's what that one was, the Continental trailer. Was released from San Diego Comic-Con, due out 9/22. It's John Wick spinoff that shows the creation of the Continental, and it has that asshole Mel Gibson in it, so I have no desire to watch it. And it's on Peacock, so I wouldn't be able to anyway, so, or Hulu or something like that. It doesn't matter. It's one I don't have anyway. What else we got? Some science stuff. North Wales girl discovers a pink grasshopper, which is very unusual. Nobody has ever really seen a pink grasshopper, so it's kind of a rare, sort of ultra rare sort of discovery. A two-faced star was discovered by scientists that has helium and hydrogen sides. So one side is hydrogen, one side is helium, and it's surprising scientists about how that could actually happen. Oh yeah, that's the Writers Guild stuff. And the other science thing was a Trojan planet has been discovered that shares the same orbit as other planets. So consider another planet in Earth's orbit. I mean, it's not like right next to anything like that, but it's in the same orbit. And I don't know if they probably would never eventually collide, but the fact is it's weird to have the same planet in the same orbit as you. But yeah, there are such things now. It's a Trojan planet, they're calling that now. In tales of the Writers Guild and SAG strikes, Universal did not obtain permits to trim the trees near the Union picket line. It was a way to fuck over the picket liners by, it was these massive trees that had hanging branches, gave good shade, stuff like that. They just cut all that top stuff off, so there's nothing there except these ugly sprouts of trees, and Universal did not get the proper permits to cut those trees. So hopefully the city will hit them with some lawsuits, but it was just a way to try to fuck over the picket liners who have to walk in the sun of Los Angeles and not be able to be in the shade of these trees. So it's kind of a shitty move by the production company. So fuck them. They're a bunch of assholes. DC Comics sales have tripled since James Gunn and his partner have taken over the DC Comics movie universe. Zack Snyder can't say that little prick. So fuck you, all you Snyder bro assholes. The Disney Comics numbers are skyrocketing because of James Gunn, you shitheads. Fucking assholes. Louis Leterrier, who directed the Incredible Hulk movie with Edward Norton and the recent Fast X movie and the sequel to that coming up, wants to make a Fortnite movie. He would be probably one of the best people to probably make a Fortnite movie, so that's kind of cool. A Bigfoot with a beanie is the Portland Trailblazers basketball team's second mascot. So they now have a Bigfoot with a beanie who's going to be one of the new mascots coming out next year, or next season coming out. Coke continues to release new flavors and their like artistic range. The most recent one I had was the Ultimate Coke, which was based on a computer game. Well, now we have a new one coming out next year called Y3000 soda, and I have no idea what that's going to taste like. So it'll be out in September. So come back in next month. No, August. Coming in August. It'd be in August, excuse me, because it was, the story said next month for July, but it's August. Maybe September, but probably in August. So watch the show in about a month from now, and maybe I'll be able to find it and have a first taste of it. So I can't imagine what the Y3000 futuristic soda will taste like. These artistic ones have been okay, but not anything really outstanding that makes me want to buy them over and over again, or even like one of the 12 packs that are out there. So we'll see what happens with that. Just have to make sure that I don't get the zero sugar one like I did for the Ultimate one. Another San Diego Comic-Con thing announced was that Disney's animated wing is releasing an animated Watchmen movie, which they're going to re-rated R, and an animated Crisis on Infinite Earths movie, which they're also rating R. And that seems to be their trend lately, is they like to release these animated films and rate them R. And there really is no reason to release these animated films and rate them R. Watchmen is the exception. And you can maybe make a case for some other ones, but the story has already been out in the comics. So what they're just trying to do is add more sex and violence to it to make their animated films be more like main film, but they're not being released to movie theaters. So I don't know. It just seems rather an odd way of doing things. Is you're producing adaptations of your biggest storylines, which are no R-rated. There's nothing R-rated whatsoever about Crisis on Infinite Earths. There is no sex. There is no horrendous violence. Yet there's universes that get completely decimated and people who, get turned into skeletons and stuff like that. But that was in the comics already. And it's not like a realistic looking thing. It's an animated thing. So that wouldn't really be considered rated R anyway. It's just that the animated group tends to want to do more adult material. And I chalk that up to Bruce Timm wanting to put sex and violence and everything because he thinks cartoons should be more adult. I don't know. It just seems rather odd for me, but that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con this week as well. Another death this week. And it's actually, I think, the last one. There's been not a lot of deaths lately, which is good, I guess. Ian Eames, who is a British filmmaker, animator, all-around just artistic guy who used to work with Pink Floyd and a lot of their stuff, he passed away this week. Anniversaries, first set of anniversaries we have is The Haunting, the Jan de Bont remake of the classic 1960s scary movie. Came out in 1999, which makes that, 24 years ago? Yep, 24 years ago. UHF, Weird Al's first movie, which was not about him, but it was just his chance to try to make a movie, came out 34 years ago in 1989 and is a cult classic. Captain America, the First Avenger, which was the last solo film that led into the Avengers, came out 12 years ago this week. And that's it for anniversaries on this page. Next page over here. Anniversaries. Let's do them real quick since I was already on them. Clerks 2 came out 2006. Monster House also came out in 2006, which was a motion capture film that didn't hit as expected and is more of a Halloween sort of film. The Frighteners, a great horror film from Peter Jackson before he did Lord of the Rings. And actually, I think he did King Kong after The Frighteners. That was his next movie, I think. And then it was Lord of the Rings. Regardless, though, it was Michael J. Fox, and it's actually a pretty good movie for the most part. Came out in 1996, so that leaves it at 96. 2006, 2016, 2026 would be 30. So 25 is 29, 24, 28, 23, 27 years ago. RoboCop came out in 1987. So there's that. Aliens came out in 1986. So those are some big movies that came out this week. That's it for the anniversaries I think I had there. Yep. Pokemon Horizons trailer, the new Pokemon animated show is coming out later this year. Here in America, I think, had its first American trailer. So that was pretty cool. Dead City, one of the other spinoffs from Walking Dead, has also been renewed for a second season. That was a San Diego Comic-Con announcement. Snow seasons. What the hell did I write here? Man, I really wasn't doing that. I have no idea what this is. Some Super 7 and Marvel Dan. It's a cat. What? I have no idea what I wrote there. Yeah, that's so we're just gonna skip that. I have no idea what that is. Let's see what else was this one. Man, I had a really bad job. Since when I remember they didn't show a Red Sonja trailer. They said they were supposed to, but they didn't. I'll have to follow up on that because I didn't see anything. Painkiller. That's what this one is. Okay, Painkiller, the show Netflix that had its trailer last week. They didn't know much about it. Revealed that Matthew Broderick's in it, so that's going to be on Netflix. So I got that one. An exoplanet and a young star. That's an exoplanet orbiting around a young star, is carrying out spiral arms and gas to help create the planetary system. So basically, that's kind of an interesting scientific thing. So basically, there's a young star, and there's already an exoplanet around the star. And as the exoplanet is orbiting the young star that's still kind of bubbling and forming whatever, the orbit of the exoplanet is grabbing material from its new star and is shooting it out as it orbits into forming more planetary stuff, so creating a planetary system. So it's orbiting the planet, and as it's orbiting, bits and pieces of matter and gas and whatever are being attached to the planet, and as it does spin around, it shoots out the stuff around it so that it fills in around it, and it's going to keep going around and around until it creates a planetary system. that's fairly interesting and fairly unique. It's kind of an interesting thing to look at. So that's kind of cool. It's like season 7 unveils Marvel Thunderbolts Institution Plant Cat. Is what I was thinking of. American Psycho is getting a comic book sequel. That was released at San Diego Comic-Con. The Winter King trailer, which is a show that looks like any other Game of Thrones, Wheel of Time, sort of medieval sort of type of film show, whatever, is releasing. It's going to be about young King Arthur, though. So that's going to be the hook to get people to see it. So I'm very excited about it. The Nandor Fodor and the Talking Mongoose trailer, which was Simon Pegg's bizarre little detective film where he plays a detective who's investigating the case of a talking mongoose, and supposedly Neil Gaiman is going to be the voice of the talking mongoose. The trailer for that was released. I didn't watch it because I didn't see it, but then just as I was going on, they have released a better version, so I might check that out later on. A lion has been seen on the loose in Berlin, though some people are believing now that it's just a warthog. Or a regular hog. They're not sure, but they still believe that people have seen a lion out there. That's driving me absolutely crazy. I don't think I'll be able to find it on here. Let me just see if I can find it here. But let's see if I can try to find out this. There's the Holy Roller. Watchmen. Oh, yeah, I should be getting close. Dune 2, Captain America, Invincible, Bigfoot, Gran Turismo, Lucy Terrier, Venture Time, Andor. Comics, Garner. One Piece. So yeah, I'm getting closer. I just need to Trojan Planet, Doctor Doom. So I'm getting closer. It's just driving me bonkers. I have to see what this thing is that I was saying. It's the Continental. So that's what it was. Super 7 unveils the gigantic and fully interactive Thundercats Cat's Lair playset at San Diego Comic-Con. I just got to show you this picture. See if I can get a better version of the picture. I can't. So, but yeah. So there's the picture of the Thundercats play set. So that's to scale. They have the action figure. So that was what that one was. Okay. So that's just like okay. But that was announced at San Diego Comic-Con. So that's pretty cool, and it looks really interesting as well. A Haunting in Venice, the new trailer for that is has Kenneth Branagh's Poirot trying to solve the murder of someone who may have been murdered by a ghost, which goes against everything that he believes in. So that actually looks like a pretty good movie. That's not due out till like October, so that's pretty good. AMC has gotten rid of their tiered seat pricing. I remember I told this story. Probably it was announced probably in the spring, so it was about 3 or 4 months ago, and AMC theaters were going to start charging different prices for their seats in their movie theater. So if you sat in the front row, it would be cheaper than sitting in like the middle rows or the way back rows. So it would be a tiered sort of level. So if you wanted to sit in the middle, you'd have to pay a couple dollars more than if you were sitting in the front. Now, obviously, it didn't do that well because after only a few months, they said, we don't like this anymore, so we're just going to get rid of that. So AMC is no longer doing tiered seat pricing, which is good. The full Migration trailer came out from Illumination. Doesn't look quite as exciting as expected. It's just about a group of ducks that don't want to migrate, but eventually are forced into it and get lost in the big city sort of thing. To me, it doesn't look that great, but that's just me. But we'll see what happens. It'll still probably do very well. Pokemon World Championship trainer cruises. Don't know what that's all about. If you're going to be doing Pokemon Go or Pokemon the video game or Pokemon the trading card game, not sure. But there's a cruise that you can do all that on, so that's pretty cool. Beer cheese flavored popcorn is a new thing coming out here soon. Dear Dad trailer based on a viral Twitter thread about a guy who claimed that he was being haunted by a little boy, the ghost of a little boy. And basically it was a thread where he was just basically talking about this being haunted by this kid. And it was purported to be a true eyewitness account of an actual haunting with pictures and all kinds of stuff involved. But it's starting to get a little hinky, the fact that, maybe he'd already had this planned out to create sort of this scary story thread that it would eventually maybe do exactly what happened, which has got him a movie deal. It also got him a show on one of the networks where he hunts ghosts. So I'm not sure if it's exactly he keeps saying it's true, but I'm not exactly sure if it is. I'm a cynic, so I have some high doubts about it. But regardless, the first trailer for the movie that this Twitter thread is based on, which is a Twitter thread turned into a movie, has been released, called Dear David. Now, I remember when Tom Taylor, comic book writer, went to a cabin in the woods and decided to do some work to plan out some stuff and write some things like that. And he was all by himself in the middle of nowhere in the Australian woods. And he starts hearing weird things and strange things start happening. And, swings start swinging by themselves and all kinds. That was an interesting thread with pictures and stuff like that. But it turned out that it all was a fake. And he said in the end, it was a fake sort of thing. So, but that was an entertaining thread. I'll give him that much. And this sort of sounds similar to something like that. Good God. This is just really, really bad day for me. I have no idea what that is. Cartoon Network and the WB Animation are going to have agreed to unionize. Oh, I know what that is now. Okay. So Cartoon Network and the WB Animation teams have decided they're going to unionize after seeing all the stuff that's going on with AFTRA and SAG and the Writers Guild. So they're going to do an animation sort of guild as well. So good on them for that. So everybody's looking for the next Barbenheimer. That's something that's never going to happen again. It would just seem like this is a first, and I don't think you can't just throw things together. But someone has tried. They're trying for Saw Patrol is the next Barbenheimer, which is really not going to be a thing. I'm telling you that right now. Basically, the new Saw movie, Saw 10, is set to come out the same weekend as the Paw Patrol movie. So now they're doing it sort of a Saw Patrol as a new Barbenheimer, and you're just grasping at straws there, son. You get a Barbie-inspired shake at Cold Stone Creamery, one of the best ice cream stores out there. Obviously, it's pink sort of thing, whatever. The Oppenheimer trailer was remade with Barbies, so there's another. See, this whole cultural thing. It's just you can't just say, oh, Saw Patrol, which is a funny name, but it's not going to have the same impact as a Barbenheimer thing because it was the first one here. It's coming out 2024. What's that one? Oh, Borderlands. That's right. The Eli Roth movie based on the video game Borderlands, that has Jamie Lee Curtis in it, is now set for an August 9th, 2024 debut. That was a San Diego Comic-Con story. New trailer for Harley Quinn Season 4, the animated series. I think I talked about that last week, but I guess there was another one this week or whatever. The new American Horror Story season released its first trailer for their new season. It's been a while since they've had an American Horror Story, so The new ones, the new trailer was out for that. Netflix pulls the plug on the $30 million live action Masters of the Universe movie / show they were going to do. They'd already invested $30 million into it, but it wasn't going anywhere and it wasn't coming to their thing. So they're going to use it as a write-off for their taxes. That seems to be happening a lot more recently. And it's kind of annoying, to be honest. Gen V, the Boys spinoff, is due to debut on September 29th. I think these last two things were mentioned at San Diego Comic-Con. Lindsay Lohan gives birth to her first child, and Jamie Lee Curtis announced on Twitter how proud she was of her movie daughter, making her a movie grandmother now. That's kind of funny. New She-Hulk comic series will be coming in October to Marvel. That was revealed at San Diego Comic-Con this week. Some interesting local news that happened this week here locally in Reisterstown, actually, down at Advanced Auto Parts, which is an auto parts shop in a shopping center. It's right next door to my bank. There's a Chick-fil-A in this area. There's a Starbucks. There's a Chipotle, all that stuff. Well, on Wednesday night, there was a 3 to 4 alarm fire at Advanced Auto Parts shop. Found out later it was arson. A person who set the fire worked at Advanced Auto Parts and set the fire 40 minutes after the store closed. So probably was one of the closing people, and then decided he was going to burn down the place. So ended up burning it down. So it destroyed the building. The front is still up, but the entire side and back and roof and all that is all destroyed. It's all rubble. The fire lasted into Thursday and eventually has been put out. It is now just rubble. They're cleaning through it now. And it is officially arson. They have the suspect in custody now. What made it even more interesting was literally the exact same time, literally almost as if it was planned, even though there's nothing that's proven that it was. Up here by me, Advanced Auto Parts is about 2 miles down the road from me. Here by me, there's a Royal Farm store, and it was robbed at the exact same time that the fire was going on at Advanced Auto Parts, which made some people believe that they were working together to split the crowd, that the one people going to try to stop the crime at the Royal Farm store, and the other and gives less help to take down the fire, sort of thing. I don't know if it's just a coincidence or whatever, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that happened. But it's a Royal Farm store. It's open 24/7. It gets robbed all the time. The Shell store gets robbed all the time. It's the easiest marks for criminals, are these 24/7 places. The fact that it happened like around 10 o'clock at night is a little scary. But usually it's overnight, like 2, 3 in the morning when that stuff happens. But the fact that it was occurring at the same time as the fire is kind of hinky about that. So that's what happened this week. That was kind of interesting. And in other news, a company is offering employees pods to masturbate in, including comes with VR helmets. So you can masturbate, I guess, to porn VR stuff. I guess that's good to give you a chance for your employees to ease their sexual repression or whatever, but still kind of weird. Speaking of sexual stuff, Barbara Palvin, the really hot Victoria's Secret model, has married actor Dylan Sprouse. So congratulations to the happy couple there. Jenna Ortega and Paul Rudd will be starring in Death of a Unicorn as father and daughter. It's a drama from indie company, I think. I don't know if it's A24, but it is an indie company, I think. Dynamite Comics will be publishing Nightmare Before Christmas comics. That was announced at San Diego Comic-Con this week. Only Murders in the Building debuts August 8th, and we get the posters of the cast members. The band Creed is reuniting for the first time in almost 20 years. Oh, new Walking Dead video game has been announced. So if you didn't know there was even any other Walking Dead video games, but apparently there was. This week also, there was a $1 billion Powerball drawing, and one ticket in, of course, California won it. A couple people here in Maryland won like $1 million prizes, but no one won the 1 billion one. So Mega Millions is now around the 800 million mark. So still got another big one coming up here. So we'll see what happens. Gladiator 2 stopped production due to the writers and SAG strike. Hot Topic has dropped new Loki items, which is announced at San Diego Comic-Con this week. Hayao Miyazaki's latest film, which he did not market whatsoever. No trailer, no commercials, no ads, no nothing. Just wanted you to go in without any knowledge. Took on a startling $13.2 million from Japan, which is unheard of. It was only released in Japan, and it made $13.2 million without any marketing. That's how big of a deal Hayao Miyazaki is in Japan. They knew that they didn't need to see what it was about to know that it was going to be a good movie. Turns out it's a film about a boy and his heron, so I don't know. Cowboy Bebop director has created a new anime, and it's going to be released very soon. So the creator of Cowboy Bebop has a new project coming up. Batman Mask of the Phantasm will be getting the 4K Blu-ray treatment, which is outstanding. I'm going to pick that up, I think, also. Pet Sematary Bloodlines is the Paramount Plus original film prequel to the Pet Sematary stories and films that Stephen King wrote. Wicked had 10 days left to film before they were finished the entire movie, before the strike happened and they had to stop filming. So that's still the first film is still due to come out, I believe they said Thanksgiving of next year. I don't think it's this year. I think it's next year. Yeah, I think it's next year. So it's still set to come out that day, and they only had 10 days. It just is like, oh, couldn't you just wait 10 days? We could have been finished, but no. That's what you get for splitting into two movies. But that's besides the point. Barbie Dreamhouse Challenge on HGTV was a 4-episode event series, obviously to coincide with the Barbie movie release. That's kind of interesting to see that. Sofia Vergara and Joe Manganiello, whatever, divorced after 7 years of marriage. So both of those hotties are on the market again. Because of the writer's strike and the actor's strike, network television is trying to grab whatever they can to have new content during the upcoming fall season. CBS has bought the rights to air the Yellowstone series from Taylor Sheridan from the beginning. So season 1, if you were unable to see Yellowstone because you didn't have Peacock or wherever it came from, Paramount Plus, whatever, you will now be able to watch it in its entirety on CBS. Obviously, there'll probably be some editing because I think there was some more adult-oriented stuff that happened in it. Language, maybe some sex and stuff like that. So you'll probably see edited version of it, but you'll actually get to see what Yellowstone is all about if you care. Now, San Diego Comic-Con has ended. It ended today. Actually, it's probably still going on right now because it's 4:39 here, so 4:32. It's 1:39 out in California, so it's still going on now. So San Diego Comic-Con says probably about another 4 or 5 hours left in it, but they've already announced that they're going to do something different. Now, I don't know. I don't think this is instead of, but it's going to be in addition to the San Diego Comic-Con of 2025. They're also going to have a Comic-Con cruise coming in 2025. I could only assume that it's going to be creators, stuff like that, going on a cruise, and you go and you talk to comic creators. It's basically a convention on a cruise boat, a cruise ship, I would assume. That's what it sounds like to me. So, yeah, that's interesting. Army of Darkness comic is getting a direct sequel. Or the Army of Darkness movie is getting a direct comic sequel coming out soon. That was from San Diego Comic-Con as well. continuing the trend of, hey, let's take kids' Disney films and turn them into horrible, terrible things like the Grinch horror movie and the Winnie the Pooh horror movie. You're going to have Sleeping Beauty's Massacre as a movie coming out here soon, where I guess Sleeping Beauty's going to massacre people. Wheel of Time Season 2 trailer debuted this week at San Diego Comic-Con, and it's due out September 1st. And honestly, The Wheel of Time is my wife's favorite book series, and we watched the first season, but honestly, I cannot remember a goddamn thing about it. I get it mixed up with the Lord of the Rings thing, so I'm not that excited about it. It didn't really draw my attention too much, so just we'll see what happens. God, I hate that I can't read my hand right here. Kenneth Branagh is rumored to be directing a Gargoyles live action movie. If anyone can do it, I think Kenneth Branagh could. He's a very underrated director, and I think it's a good idea for him. Entenmann's has released a glazed donut flavored cookie. I think it's one that's where you can make the glazed donut flavored cookie. That's kind of interesting to see that. Truly, the seltzer company Truly is going to open the first zero-gravity hard seltzer bar aboard the astronaut training airplane, the Vomit Comet. So they'll have a bar in the Vomit Comet that's going to serve Truly to people who are practicing zero gravity. I don't know if that's a good idea, but okay. Oh, the Monkey King trailer was released this week as well. It's Netflix's newest animated film. It's due out August 15th. Looks all right. It's no Nimona, but it looks all right. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is set to be released on Blu-ray on August 1st, which is not this week, but next week. And it's also set to debut on Disney Plus the day after on August 2nd. So if you've been waiting for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 to show up on Disney Plus, you only have to wait till next Wednesday when it's supposed to debut on August the 2nd. If you want to watch it before then, it'll be on Blu-ray on August 1st. The Lego Gringotts Bank. I saw an ad for this Gringotts Bank Lego set, and it is absolutely outstanding. I'm not a Lego person, but this set is amazing. It's got the Gringotts Bank proper at the top, and it has a bottom section that has all the caves with all the vaults, and then has the little rail thing in there. So it looks outstanding. It's a huge one, and it looks so good. Quiznos, which there's funny thing is there's not really any Quiznos around near us, but back when they were huge, popular about 20 so years ago, they released commercials with those bizarre little sponge monkeys. You know the ones. If you're around the same age I was and you were around 20 years ago, you know the commercials I'm talking about. Well, Quiznos supposedly is bringing them back in commercials, despite the fact that there are no Quiznos around me. So I'm not going to see those ads because there's no Quiznos around me. I don't even know where there's a Quiznos anymore in Maryland. Let me see if I can dig up where the closest Quiznos is in Maryland. Let's see first if the Orioles blew it. Nope, they won it 5-3. Good. They got 2-game lead in first place. Oh, good. So, no, I don't want to see that. Cancel, Google. Quiznos near me. Wow. There's one in Towson, Maryland. Huh. Let's check that out. And there's one in Baltimore, Maryland. So those are the two closest to me. So there are some. But yeah, so the stupid sponge monkeys are coming back to commercials. They were the one thing that people associate with Quiznos, but you're always like, why do you want to associate these weird little creatures with a sub shop? So I don't know. Anniversaries. The Conjuring was 10 years ago this week. Arachnophobia, really great horror comedy film, 33 years ago, 1990. The Dark Knight. Nolan's The Dark Knight was 15 years ago, came out in 2008. Nolan's Dark Knight Rises also came out this week in 2012. Unfortunately, with that, you also have the anniversary of the mass shooting at the Aurora, Colorado movie theater that was showing a midnight showing of Batman of the Dark Knight Rises in 2012. And a psychopathic dude who had his car outside and exit behind the theater and had left the door cracked open, went out to the car once the movie started, grabbed all of his weapons, came in, threw gas grenades, and started shooting and killing people. Ended up killing 17 people in one of the worst mass shootings in Colorado history up there with Columbine. The dude was captured alive and went through trial, called himself the Joker, painted his hair all kinds of crazy colors, and he said that he had his apartment wired to explode, which he did. So it could have been a lot worse, but yeah, so you have to do that also. Hans Zimmer, who did the music for the Dark Knight movies and the Chris Nolan movies for the most part, did a tribute song called Aurora, which is absolutely haunting. And it was released to, and any money that was used that you paid to download it or whatever, the money went to the family members of the people who lost their lives in this. So 17 people were killed and numerous more injured. And it was a terrible shooting in Colorado, the second one within about a 10-year period to happen. So it's forever going to be intertwined with The Dark Knight Rises. And Bad Boys 2 came out 20 years ago this week as well. All right, down to our final half page here, 1.5 page. Akira came out 35 years ago this week, the great anime there. Hocus Pocus came out 30 years ago this week. Eight-Legged Freaks came out 21 years ago this week. That's the big giant spider comedy horror film. Ant-Man, the original Ant-Man came out in 2015, 8 years ago this week. The Mask of Zorro came out in 1998, 25 years ago. It's Antonio Banderas, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Anthony Hopkins. And Disneyland opened this week in 1955. There's a great book about the creation of Disneyland, which details the absolutely horrendous opening day they had. They were still building and painting and doing stuff for the Disneyland before it actually opened. The morning before it opened, they were still building Disneyland. And there was not enough bathroom stations. There was not enough trash pickup. There was not enough shade. It was a hot day, not enough water stations. It was a disaster, but it kept building and building and eventually became as great as it was. It's a great book, by the way, if you ever check it out. The band Guar has a tiny desk set. It's a little thing where if you want to have your own little Guar concert, you can create it on your desk and have, move the little figures around, stuff like that. It's kind of weird. The Holdover trailer looks kind of interesting. Alexander Payne, who hasn't done a movie in a while, reteams with Paul Giamatti. They did Sideways together, and that got Oscar nominations, stuff like that. This film is an interesting premise. It takes place at an all-boys school, and like it looks like it's an olden days, like 1950s, 60s sort of thing, like a Dead Poet Society sort of place. And for 2 weeks, the school shuts down as the kids go home for Christmas. But in this case, there is a couple kids that are not going home, cannot go home. Their parents don't get them, or they're abandoned or whatever. And so some of the teachers have to stay and make sure that they don't get into trouble. So they have to stay on campus with the students. And that's sort of what this is about. It looks like your typical sort of Alexander Payne sort of movie. It looks like that if it is coming out this year, this could potentially also be potentially Oscar winning stuff. And it looks kind of interesting too. So I will have to wait and see if I'm interested in seeing it or not. So we will see about that. Interview with the Vampire Season 2 has stopped production as well due to SAG-AFTRA and WGA strike. Burger King has announced the Brazil Barbie burger, which is a pink shake, a donut, and a burger with smoky pink sauce on it. I guess since it said Brazil, it's probably only available in Brazil, but there you go. Guillermo del Toro, who said that he's only going to be working in animation from now on, well, he kind of lied. He is also working on a Frankenstein adaptation, which is like the third or fourth one rolling through here. I think I talked about that last week, but it's he announced that he's going to be doing that as one of his next films, and supposedly what's his name? Andrew Spider-Man, who was in the Spider-Man, was dating Emma Stone. Just type in Andrew and see who pops up. Garfield. Andrew Garfield is supposedly in the cast, but there's no reveal in the cast yet. And people are saying that Guillermo del Toro is going to try to create his own Universal Monsterverse sort of thing, and this is going to be the first movie he's going to do, so we'll see how that works out. We'll see what happens. Whale amazes researchers by swimming 3,000 miles across the ocean with a broken spine, which is insane that that could happen. New trailer for The Creator, that sci-fi movie that's supposed to be the next real big event in September, and now has music by Hans Zimmer, so that makes it even more exciting. It does look pretty good. It looks like it is going to be the next big thing that people are going to really jump on and flock to. Former NFL linebacker has made $11.5 million selling Pokemon cards. He's retired, as I said, so he's decided to go on his secondary job of doing that. Grandma is sent out to sea after posing on an iceberg shaped like a throne. So they saw this one that she's shaped like a throne. She gets on it. They take a picture of it, but then it starts to take her out to sea, and she's got to escape that. She did eventually, but still, that's kind of scary. FX's Alien TV show will continue to film without SAG members, so they'll be able to continue to film. So that's going to be probably a sore spot down the line. Rachel Zegler has been cast as the live-action Snow White, and it's already getting hate from racist assholes because Rachel Zegler has a little bit of Latino in her, I think, even though she's not fully Latino. She looks the part. She's gorgeous. She's got long black hair and looks like she's going to be perfect as the role for live-action Snow White, which has never been done before, actually. So should be interesting to see how they do that. And thieves have stolen some of the weird art from the set of Beetlejuice 2, the stuff that Catherine O'Hara's character made. So some of that has been stolen. John Woo is remaking his own film, The Killers, for Peacock. So if anyone has to remake their own movie, it's best to have the original director do it. So I guess that's okay, because that's cool. Oh, yeah. It's been discovered that the Justice League Snyder Cut has been removed from Max in Europe, and no one knows why. Well, it's because it sucks, and Zack Snyder is a toxic asshole, and his fan base is toxic. And it's great that this movie, which is awful, has been removed from Max in London, in Europe. So fantastic. I wish it'd be removed from the United States here. So good on that, you guys. Keep that up. And finally, self-care cat metal is a new thing where heavy metal people are making heavy metal music with their cats for self-care. And that's your new thing. And that is all for this week. Next week, Dylan knows nothing exciting going on this week. There's no San Diego Comic-Con. There's no Barbenheimer. There's no big movie coming out. It's just going to be hot as Hades here. And we're entering the final week of July. So summer keeps rolling on. Some good news might happen is my mom only has 7 more radiations to go, so she'll knock 5 of those out this week. So she'll only have 2 more left in August, and then she'll be done radiation free. So that's good. All right, on that note, I have to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to shut everything down. All right, guys, take care. Have a great rest of your week, your night, your Sunday, I should say, and the rest of your week, and we'll see you here next week. Bye.